What is going on, guys? It's Lucid here. Today I wanted to quickly cover the 3 things that I beg that somebody would have taught me or told me when I was getting into motorcycles, because honestly, I didn't have a crazy big amount of help, and most of what I learned is on YouTube, and I'd like to share the things that I've learned from my anecdotal experience of riding motorcycles. Let's go, we'll do this in random order, so hopefully you guys will actually watch it rather than doing least to most important, because then everyone will just skip it. The first one is going to be tire pressure. It sounds super random, but I feel like nobody ever talks about tire pressure, so I'm going to be covering the things that nobody talks about. Your tire pressure makes a big difference. For the longest time, I thought that my bike was broken, or I thought that I didn't know how to ride it, when in reality, my tire pressure was just astronomically high for the kind of riding I was doing. If you guys drop your tire pressure in a little bit, your bike will lean in easier, you will get slightly less miles per gallon, you will get slightly less mileage on your tires until they're bad again. But for me, that ability to turn in the bike is much more important. So I was at 36-38, I believe, or 38-36, and now right at the second, I think I'm running 35-33, and a lot of guys run 32-32, especially if they're in the canyons or if they're on the track. That was the biggest difference, or the biggest change I've ever done on my motorcycle, other than adjusting the suspension, which was a little bit more involved. It took me 5 seconds, and all of a sudden my sport bike actually feels like a sport bike. Before that, it felt like an economy moped that was falling apart at every single corner, and I could not keep up to save the life of me because I felt my tires were slipping. And they probably were, because my tire pressure was much too high. So if you guys want to, if you feel like your bike is unstable, if you feel like you're not able to turn in, go ahead and just try lowering that tire pressure. Try turning it down a notch and see what happens. At least give it a try. What I recommend is you set a tire pressure, say maybe start with 34 on both or 35 on both, and then work up and down on the front and rear until you find what works the best for you, because there is no perfect answer. It's all subjective. So what works really well for me might not work so well for you. Maybe you want less turn in. Maybe your bike already feels good and you're running 36-38. But for me, that's what worked. Is I dropped the tire pressure. I was able to turn in much easier. The whole entire riding experience became much more fun, and I trusted my bike. I was able to trust my bike a lot more. The next thing is, I think some people cover it, but I would like to almost recover it in a more serious tone. Just because you are riding safe, just because you watch Dan the Fireman, just because you listen to what Lucid says, just because you listen to all these people who have been riding for a little bit longer, does not mean that you are safe. This is one of the most dangerous things that you could do on the road, and do not let your ego get that mistaken. When I first started riding, I was content that I was a very, very safe rider. And because I was a safe rider, what could possibly happen to me? What could happen? Because I did my best every time I went out to not do anything reckless, to not ride like a fool, not be popping wheelies, even though I now do, or any of these awful things. Or I would let cars go first at the stop sign, or I'd wait a few seconds at a red light, until one day I was sat at a red light. I waited a few seconds after it turned green, I went, and all of a sudden I'm on the ground. I'm face first into the ground. Why? Because a car completely blew that red, and there was nothing I could have done about it. I actually did the best that I could have and still got hit. I saw him preemptively. I was in Dan and the Fireman's orange zone, which just basically means that it's a higher likelihood for something to happen, so I'm more alert. I see a flash to my right. I start slowing down. I'm on the brakes, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm head first into the ground. And there's nothing I could have done more, because 2 reasons. 1, I didn't see it in time, but 2, I wasn't at a skill level where I was capable of doing anything other than what I did. And I'm content with what I did. I think I did my best, and I think that I prevented a much worse accident. I ended up having to replace the entire front end, but other than that, it really wasn't that bad. I got out of it very luckily. I walked away with a mild concussion. Thankful. I'm very, very thankful that that's all that happened to me, because it could have been much worse. And I'm not ignorant to that. And now I hope that I can convince you not to be ignorant of the same thing that I was, which is just because you are a safe rider does not mean something won't happen to you. Does not mean that this hobby in any way, shape, or form can ever be 100% safe. because you're taking away all of your protection. Think about it, even driving in itself is dangerous. So when you take away your iron cage, you take away your airbags, you take away your seatbelts, and all of a sudden you're on a rocket-powered bicycle, it gets way scarier. I think you're 22 or 66 times more likely to die in an accident on a motorcycle. And obviously that goes up and down with gear and being sober and not being tired, so make sure you're always wearing all the gear and you're never drunk riding. How silly do you have to be? And you're never tired, because at the end of the day, I need to be completely alert. I'm scanning all the time. I see that car, I see that car, I see that car, I check my shoulders, I see that car behind me. I'm watching all of these different things going around. That way, if something were to happen, I was already watching. It's not like I have to find where the incident's coming from, because I'm aware of everything. As long as you're aware of everything, you're a lot more safe. Oops, that was in front of a cop. Oops. Well, I might be getting pulled over, boys. I might be cooked. We might be cooked. We're good. He didn't turn around. Woo! And don't ride like a silly willy, like I do, because I'm a bad influence. But you got to do what you got to do type stuff. If I want to ride like a silly willy, then I will ride like a silly willy. I think number three, one of the things that I wish people explained to me more, because I came as a car guy. I thought I understood the idea of taking care of a vehicle, but bikes are so much more involved. If you don't have any experience, or you don't know anybody that has ever had a bike and you haven't seen them take care of it, please look up proper maintenance for your motorcycle, because I had no clue that my chain needed to be cleaned and lubed as often as it does, and I was not aware that bikes only get about 2,000 to 3,000 miles on their oil. Nobody told me these things, so I'm figuring it out. I'm finding out as I go. Whereas if somebody had told me, I would have done it right from the first place. So I probably have some premature wear on my chain. I definitely put my engine through some abuse. Still loves me at the end of the day because it still turns on, but make sure you're doing proper maintenance, because at the end of the day, these rev up very, very high. These rev up almost double what most cars do at that 16,000 RPM red line. So everything's moving a lot faster. There's a lot more possibilities for things to go wrong. And especially when you have a chain that is directly behind your left leg and can literally cut it off. Like, why do people not do their chain maintenance? It bewilders me. Absolutely bewilders me. That's like the scariest thing. I had my friend's chain. We were riding on the tollway, so we're doing about 90 miles per hour, 95 miles per hour. He's ahead of me, and he goes to cut. So there's a car right here, and he goes between them. Boom! All of a sudden, he has no power because his chain blew off. His chain fell off in between two cars, which could have went a lot worse. Luckily, he was a very intelligent rider and saved himself from that situation. But I don't know if you know this or not, but it's very easy to get ran over when you're passing somebody and all of a sudden you absolutely stop moving in front of them. He got lucky. If he had done proper chain maintenance, if he had paid more attention to the lifespan of his chain, that wouldn't have happened. He would have never put himself in that high-risk situation. That's the most important thing about maintenance, is you are putting yourself in so much more risks by not maintaining your chain, by not taking care of these things. Because when things go wrong on bikes, they get really, really scary, really, really fast. So all I'm asking you to do, check your tire pressure, understand that you're not invincible, even if you're safe, and do your maintenance. Those three things will save you so much headache, so much stress, and make you a safer rider. It'll make you a safer rider. You'll be more confident on the streets, being aware of your things, of knowing that your bike is in perfect condition, of knowing that you are not perfect and that you are not safe and that you need to be vigilant all the time, because then you're going to live when something happens in front of you that you weren't anticipating, because you anticipate the unanticipated, and then you're in a much better position to handle it. You won't be in shock when it happens. I don't know. Those are just Lucid's little tips. Those are what I think that I needed to hear, and I needed somebody to tell me, and nobody told me. So I hopefully informed you guys a little bit. Hopefully you guys feel a little bit more prepared to handle these situations in the future. But other than that, I really do love you. Patreon members, thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for allowing me to do all the silly, willy little things. I hope it's not too windy. All the silly, willy little things that I do. And I'm going to end the video right here. I hope you guys like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, please drop them below. And I will catch you next time. Bye!
I got a Baja Blast with ice, it was small, cause it was all the cash I had on hand. And the kid behind the window was in a good mood, so I put me in one too.